Hi, Sarah Banis here, Simply Sarah Made Easy. I'm going to show you today how to make tumblers, okay? I'm going to show you how to get consistent, perfect results so that you have less waste, both time and materials. So, kind of hard to see with the glare from the sun on these, but I just wanted to quickly show you what I'm referring to. So, perfect tumblers. No ghosting on the bottom, no seam, and vibrant colors. Okay, so something I want to talk about. Well, first off, so if this video is of interest to you or helpful, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos coming out that not only teach you how to use your machine and materials, but learning how to design for yourself. So make sure you do subscribe. You'll get those notifications when the new videos come out. So this video is not going to be a 10-minute video, okay? This is for somebody who is looking how to make professional tumblers. So be prepared that this is a longer video. You don't have to watch the whole thing if you just want to skip around. But if you really want to learn and you really want to get really good at this and stop wasting all your materials and throwing your money out the door, watch the whole video start to finish, okay? So let's start out. The first thing that is really, really important is the tumblers that you use, okay? So you want straight-sided tumblers. This is the brand I use, PYD Life, okay? These are high-quality tumblers, and they're not expensive. I'll link the ones that I use in the video description. Straw, tumbler. Okay, so you want to touch your actual tumbler as little as possible while you're making it, because you don't want to get the oil from your fingers on there. It's also important that you, if you can, start with clean hands. Wash your hands right before you start, okay? And that'll also help you prevent oil transfer. The first thing you want to do is you want to measure your tumbler, okay? Getting no seam depends on you getting a perfect measurement for your tumbler. So the first thing you want to do, you can take like a sewing measuring tape and use that. This is what I use. A little piece of clear something. I wipe this down with a microfiber cloth before we do it, because I did just have to touch it more than I would have liked to. So this is what I do. See how I'm wrapping this piece of paper right across to the very top? Okay, I like to slide the longer end in and try to get it exactly across the top. This is like baking, where it's really, really, really important that you're getting the correct amounts. So your dimensions on this cup being correct are imperative, okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I actually want the long end in. Okay. Long end in. And then I'm going to mark this, okay? Try to get that as tight as you possibly can. And then this is going to determine the size at which you print this wrap. So get it tight, okay? And then mark it. And that's going to give you your circumference, okay? So the first thing we'll do is we will measure this. So take your measuring tape, and that is going, and you want it exact. You don't want it, if you're, a millimeter off, you want to make sure that you're marking that full millimeter. Okay, so this is almost exactly 9.25 in circumference. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, so I wrote down 9.25. And now you're going to measure your height. Okay, for the height, you can just take your what you're measuring, put it at the top, and then measure your bottom. You want to measure it right before, see where that starts to curve? So this is what I was talking about the cups being straight-sided. A lot of tumbler manufacturers, they'll start that curve way up here. And what ends up happening is you end up with ghosting on your cup because you have, imagine the paper, how it would like kind of roll around that curve. You want this straight side, almost completely down to the bottom. And when you measure your cup, you want your wrap that you're making to go just at the very, very curve, where the curve starts. So that is 7 3/4 plus about 2 millimeters, I believe those are. So 7 3/4 plus 2 millimeters, okay? So that is your exact dimensions on this cup. That's the first step. Now let's go over to my laptop and I will show you how to build this wrap, no matter what design you have, so that it matches your tumbler blank exactly and you can get an exact fit, okay? Let's go over to the laptop. Okay, so we are at my laptop. Now you can see that I have a program called Silhouette Studio open. You do not need a Silhouette to use Silhouette Studio. You can actually even use the free version. You can get it right at Silhouette America. I believe it's silhouetteamerica.com. Just look up Silhouette website and you can download the program right there for free. I personally would recommend paying the $50 and upgrading to Business Edition, because then you can actually save and export your designs. So for now, you can use the free version because that'll give you everything that you need to be able to print, to be able to, upload the images, set up your designs, and print them. But if you do ever get further into this and you want to start making and selling your own designs, upgrade to Business Edition. That way you have the ability to actually export those as PNG images that you can then sell yourself. So ones that you make yourself. So that's a whole nother story. That's another video for another time. For now, go to Silhouette, download the software. Very simple to use, and it has a ton of features. So definitely grab it. That's what we're using today. And if you're using a different program and you know how to use it, great, do that. So what I have uploaded is I have uploaded my design and I've uploaded 2 images to put into the design. I want to talk a little bit about this design. So first off, I'll link where I got this design. I pay like $3.99 a month for a subscription and I get all of the fonts and designs I want included, and they all have commercial use license, so I can legally use them on items that I make to sell. So now I want to talk about this design. Oftentimes people are using designs that they did not get legally or that they just tried to screen grab an image of. For this type of design, you should never do that, because first off, it's just bad form, not to mention that, you're trampling on somebody else's intellectual property rights. But beyond that, and also you're getting a low resolution image, it's going to give you poor quality. This is a 300 or greater DPI, which means dots per image or dots per inch. And that will print well at this size. So, but what I'm trying to get to is that with this type of image, when properly built by a designer who knows what they're doing, these 2 holes are transparencies. So your images, as long as you make it the back layer, are going to shine through. See how that works? So to change your, if in fact you did that, let me show you, send it back. If you did that and this happened with a properly built image, all you need to do in Silhouette Studio, right click and right here, send it back, bring to front, bring forward, send backward. These are all for your layers, for the order of your layers on the page. So when I sent it to the back, I made it the back layer, so it was behind those 2 pictures. What I want to do is I want to bring it to the front, okay? That's going to make this the very top image. So now I can take these and I can place these behind where I want them. And then just the image is going to show through. And then if your image is too big, you can crop the image down. So like I wouldn't want it like that. I wouldn't want this end hanging out. you would just cut. I'll show you in a second. Actually, we'll go ahead and we'll do that. So what I want to do for this, move this one to the side. What I want to do for this is I want to take, and I want that, make it just a tad bit bigger. I'm going to get as much of the kids in there as I can. So I'm going to take that and I am going to make that just about right there. And I want to get rid of this, and this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two. You saw over here, I clicked on the shape maker. And I'm going to make this. And I'm going to make this. Okay. And now what I can do is I can move this out of the way. And I can select these two. Just drew a line going over both of them. And then I'm going to go over here to this right here, the modify panel. Do you see that on the right hand side? I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click crop. Oops, wrong. That's not what I'm going to click. I'm going to do that again and I am going to click subtract all. And now I can get rid of this one. So now I can get rid of this box. And now I'm going to select these two. And I'm going to click subtract all. Okay, and now I'm going to get rid of this. And that's how you crop that down. Okay. Oops. And now it's a little bit, actually, I'm going to have to crop, I can just crop that whole bottom part off. I don't need that. So, crop that bottom part off so I don't have to mess around with it. And then we'll pop that right in there, a little bit higher. There we go. Okay, so that one's perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select those two. So to select those two, I'm just drawing a square with my selector right here, selected. And then I'm going to right click and I want to group those. I want to group those together so that now when I move it, that's moving together. So now I can deal with this one without having to also deal with that one. Okay, so now I'm going to increase the size of this one. Increase it a little bit more. No, it's too much. I wish I could get that she's jumping also, but I think that would be too much for this one. So I think just about like that is perfect. And I think that's actually all hidden behind that layer, so that's fine too. So I'm going to select both of those. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to group. Okay, so now the next step of what we're doing is we want to resize this, but we want to resize it to our dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a template. Okay, so I'm making a rectangle and then I'm going to go up here with it selected. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on this. Okay, so what I want is I want a width of 9.25. 9.25. Okay, and then I want a height of 7.75 plus 2 millimeters. So to get those 2 millimeters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on my phone, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in 2 millimeter, 2 inches, and 2 millimeters, it comes up as 0.0787 of an inch. So I'm going to round that up because there's only 3 place points in Silhouette Studio. I'm going to round that up to 0.079. Okay, so then I'm going to go into my calculator and I'm going to type in 0.079 plus the 7.75, and that's going to give me 7.829. So I'm going to put in 7.83. I'm going to round up. Okay, so that, oops, that didn't work. 7.83. Okay, so that is the exact dimension. This template right here is exactly the size that we need this to be. Okay, so we're going to have to work around, not all designers, first off, not all cups are the same size, not all tumblers are the same size. So not all designs are going to be perfect for the cup that you have. So you have to then take and modify the design so that it fits your template without changing the integrity of the design itself. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to click on this and we're going to pick one of our two dimensions, either width or height, and we're going to see where it falls into what ours is. So let's go with the 925. So click on this, and now for this you want that lock relocked, okay? And then width 9.25. Now this is going to show us where we're at with our template, okay? So if we did it in the exact width, that's going to give a height of 8.156. We need our height to be 7.830. So what we could do to make this work is we could take off a little bit of the bottom here, we could take off a little bit of the top, or we could take off a little bit of both to kind of like balance it out so we're not taking too much off of either. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to take a little off of the top and a little off of the bottom. Actually, I take that back. I think I'm going to take it all off the bottom. I think I'm going to take it all off the bottom because I take that back. I am going to do half and half. I'm going to do a little of both. So I'm going to select both of these and I am going to center them. You can see right here, that's my alignment tool. So I selected both and then I went up to my alignment tool and I went to align middle. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to again make myself two boxes. This time I want you to watch where that meets my template. You see how I'm matching that up to my template? So it takes just that amount off. And then I'm going to do that exact same thing on the bottom. Okay. And now I'm going to select just this top cropping box and my template. And I'm going to subtract. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And I'm going to subtract. So now that template should fit. Or now that design should fit our template. Okay. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. And now we have, so let's see, 9.25, 7.842 in height, 7.8. So we're a little bit, just a tiny, tiny bit taller than we want it to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that and I'm going to take this off of here. That small amount, it will make a difference in your cup, but if you adjust this by that much, you won't even notice a difference. So we need it to be 7.83 tall, right? 7.83. And this is again with this unlocked because you never, ever, ever want to change this at all. Your circumference, so the width, because that is where you're going to get your seam. This end is going to meet this end on your cup. You want that to be perfect to what your actual dimensions are so that you're meeting up perfectly and getting a no seam cup. That's super, super important, okay? So that's what we want that to be. So click on that, relock that. So now we're all set. Now this is perfect. 7.83 by 9.25. We can get rid of this. And that's perfect. That is exactly what we want this to be, okay? So now I'm going to show you what we want to do. We're going to take this and you want to rotate this, okay? Get rid of this. In here, this is the box. This is what is going to print as the white box. I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate this, okay? Do you see how I grabbed this right here? I selected it to make that appear, clicked on it to select it, and then I have this rotating box. And now I'm going to make it so that that is just like that. See how that is nice and perfect. That is just about perfect, close enough. So take this and I'm going to try to center this up by the top. And now I'm going to show you how to get a perfect print. Okay, now let me just step back. If you are brand new and you don't even have a Sumblimation printer yet, that's what you need for this. You need a Sumblimation printer, okay? So if you don't have one yet, I'll link in the video description how to convert a video that I have on how to convert an Epson printer into a sublimation printer. It's incredibly simple. So we're going to send this to our sublimation printer. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Print. We're going to make sure that this looks like what it's supposed to look like. It does. We're going to click Print, and then this is going to come up. For some, I don't even know why this comes up on Silhouette Studio. You don't need this, so you can click out of that, and then this will be behind it. This is what you need. Okay, so up here, however many printers you have will all be on here. If you can't see the one you want, slide over. Okay, make sure the one you're using, this is the one we're using. This is an Epson EcoTank 2800 that's converted. And then you're going to click on Preferences, okay? So when you see people getting very dull tumblers, it's one of two things. It's either they're not pressing it at the right time and temperature, which we'll work on in a bit when we get to that point, or they're not fixing their print settings. This is where you fix your print settings, okay? First thing you want to do, a lot of people use the premium presentation paper mat, one of these two. I have stopped using that. What I use now that works better is Ultra Premium Photo Paper Glossy right here. So select that. Next thing you want to do is go to Quality, click on that, go to More Settings, push that all the way up to the top, okay? Okay, and now you're going to go to More Options, this right here up on top, this tab right here, and you're going to go down to Bidirectional Printing, unclick that. You want to mirror your image, click that. And then right here, color correction, it's on automatic. You want to click on Custom, then click Advanced. Up here, click on Color Controls. I leave mine on Epson Vivid. That is what is very effective for me and gives me beautiful prints. Some people change it to Adobe. I do not. I leave it on Epson Vivid. Go down to Bright, and you want to change that to 9. And then Contrast should be 7. Saturation should be 15, and density should be 4, okay? So that is, all of that is correct now. Now click OK, and then click OK again. I'm not going to click OK again quite yet because I need to go load my sublimation paper into my printer. I should have done that first, but I didn't. And then once I have loaded the sublimation paper into the printer, I'll click OK here, and then I'll click Print here, and then it'll print the print. So next, let's go over to the printer. Let's grab that print off of the printer. Now, just something to be aware of, because you have increased the value of how your printer is printing this print, it's now printing it at a much higher, more vivid color setting. It's going to take a little bit longer for your printer to print. So just expect that. Expect that these prints aren't going to just zip out of your printer like a low quality image will. So let's go ahead. Let's go over to the printer. We'll grab that print off the printer, and I will show you how to cut and how to tape it onto your cup. Okay, so we're at my printer and it is printing. I just want to show you something real quick. The quality of your materials that you use, including your sublimation printer and ink, are important. I will link the ink that I use on Amazon in the video description. I will also link the sublimation paper I use, this PYD Life paper. It's very high quality paper and it does make a difference. So if you want to get the exact, the exact quality that I get in my finished product, if you use these exact same products, you'll get the exact same results. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move this forward. We'll wait until this print comes out of the printer. Like I said, it will take a little bit of time. And so I'm going to skip forward. We'll wait till it comes out, and then we'll go over to my craft desk. We'll get it cut, we'll get it taped, and we'll get it pressed. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. The first thing we're going to do is, this is our print. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this down. this is what I use. I'm also going to link this in the video description. So this is a Cricut paper trimmer. They're like 73% off last time I looked. They were like $6, $6.50, something like that. Highly, 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 even if it's not on sale, recommend getting one of these. It is integral to getting a seamless print, to have it cut correctly. This does the job and does it very, very well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this. I'm actually going to turn this around. I like it to be the other way. And I want to make sure that you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to line this up. I'm not going to depend on this bottom part. I'm going to do my own due diligence, and I'm going to check that the top and the bottom are exactly on that line. So you don't want to take too much off because you don't want to miss any of your print, but you definitely do not want to leave any white on there. The white will leave a seam, okay? So you're getting that as perfect as you possibly can, as straight as you possibly can. Straight, perfect, perfect, perfect. So you see that I got almost nothing, just a little tiny bit of the print on there, almost nothing, okay? Super important. Do the other side the same way. Right on the line. Right on the line. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And if you don't get it the first time, you'll get better at this. Obviously, you get better at all of this. But the cutting part you will get better at. Okay, this part is a little bit hard when you're dealing with this little tiny piece because it's going to want to pop up, and you got to make sure that does not happen, okay? Got a little bit more of that off than I want to do, but that is the top, so that will be just fine. We'll just take tiny, tiny, tiny little bit off the bottom when we press it. Okay, so that, and that is perfect. Make sure that doesn't pop up on me. There we go. Good, good. Okay, so we're just right on that. Move this over to the side. Here's our print. All right, so now what we want to do is now we want to tape this. Something that is so incredibly important. I waited so many years to get this, and I can't believe I did. It's like 15 bucks. You need this in your life, okay? So a lot of people get this, and then they don't understand why they can't make it work right. You can't make it work right because you didn't load it correctly. It doesn't load on top like you'd expect it to. It loads on the bottom. It's counterintuitive. I have a video on my channel on how to load this. I will link this in the video description. Watch what happens. See how it auto cuts the strips? I'm telling you, this will make your life so much easier. And then I hear people say, well, mine doesn't cut correctly. It's because you clean it. You got to, if it stops cutting correctly, you pop this open. And in here, there'll be a little gob of tape. You pull it out. Cuts perfect every time. Not all of them do. They're not all the same quality. I'll link this specific one in the video description. If you do nothing else today, buy one of these. I'm telling you, it's a life changer. Okay, so let's get to work. So we have that all set. Let's get this over here, okay? So always second check that you are putting this in the right way up. I printed one the other day, and I did all the work, and I printed it I put it on there upside down. Couldn't believe I did it. So I want to show you something. See how I'm not having to like stretch it real hard to press it, and it's just perfect? That's what you want. This is so important. This will give you a perfect, perfect, perfect press. I would go so far as to say that's even just a tiny tad bit too much, but I will layer it over, and then I'll just press it down real good, and it'll press absolutely perfectly, okay? So not too much, not too little. And you want to make sure that your top matches correctly. Okay. And then you do want to stretch it just a little bit so that you're not, so that it's tight on there, right? So, and then one piece of tape across the middle. Start in the middle with your taping. And then you're going to want to tape. Make sure that this does not go, if you have that little bit of an overhang, like I do, you don't want it to go over, under, over, under. Keep it all the same. Keep it nice and tight on there. All the same. And see, this is where this comes in. Turn it. And it's perfect every single time. Press it down tight. Perfect size piece of tape. Oops. Okay. And then don't tip this over yet, because in the end, like you can tell that this one is just exactly right on top. That's really important, because otherwise you end up with a white line on top. And it's perfect on the bottom too, okay? So don't tip it over yet though, because I do that at the very end, because if there is any, if it's not exactly right on the top, you can like kind of shimmy it up. This is going to be so pretty. Actually, for this one, I'm just going to put this on like this. Okay, now, this is important, okay? So when you are, I want to show you that that goes just a little bit on the curve there, okay? So when you are doing this, I would recommend, so I even probably could have taken that down another 0.5 millimeter, but it'll be okay because it's got the glitter on the bottom. What you do is you tip your tape in the middle first, just a little bit, not all the way down, and then go around your edge, okay? You want to end up with as little crinkling as possible where the design is, and then just kind of take your nail and just kind of go over it. And we'll go over more after we have all our tape on. Okay, but you're just trying to keep that from crinkling the paper. Any paper that didn't get put on there exactly tight enough, you want to make sure that you are crinkling that as little as possible. Crinkled paper will give you ghosting, okay? So, and if you do get any crinkle underneath there, take your nail and flatten it down, okay? Flatten that down the best that you can. Just get it nice and flat, and then kind of push your finger up against it, okay? Taping is just as, if not more, important than every step, okay? It's really, really important to get a good tape. That's what keeps you from getting ghosting. That, and again, these specific tumblers with that straight edge, straight side, those are the things that are important to getting no ghosting, okay? And see how I'm just kind of working it around until I get that, and then I'm flattening it out. You're overlapping it just a little bit, not by a ton, but just a little bit, so that it's all the way around. Okay? And then pushing and pushing, and then flattening it out. We're almost done with the bottom. One more on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to all the way around the edge on the bottom. I'm going to flatten that bottom part out real good. Okay, I'm going to make sure if I have any little crinkles on there, then I'm just pushing my nail and just pushing those crinkles down so that they're as flat against that cup as possible. Okay, that little bit at the bottom, that will be like on the bottom of your cup, like at the very, very, where you almost can't see it, but you still want that to be as straight as possible to the eye and as clean as possible. That's what gives you a perfect tumbler, is those little things like that. Now the top part, okay? So now we can tip this in, and I'm doing the same thing where I'm working it around. I'm not just, tipping it over. I'm working it around nice and even so that it, starting in the middle, and then going to the edges, and then just working that around until it's all the way over. Okay, flattening it out the best that I can. Oops. And I'll tell you something else. So at the very beginning, when we, or not the very beginning, but when we started, before we started taping, when we first checked to see how our wrap fit on our tumbler, if you ever get to that point and your wrap is not wrapping all the way around that tumbler, and you're trying to stretch it and you're still not getting it right, and it's not perfectly around it, do not move forward. I know it's a hassle to resize and reprint, but if you move forward at that point and it's not a perfect match here, you're gonna end up with a white strip there, and it's just gonna ruin the whole experience for you. So just reprint it at that point. The other thing I want to talk to you about, I should have brought this up earlier. I'm gonna link in the video description one of our many Facebook groups. We have a whole craft community on Facebook for Cricut and Silhouette and Sublimation and Photoshop and lasers and everything you can imagine, everything crafting. I'm going to link Sublimation for Beginners. It's about 200,000 members, super friendly, super helpful. You'll fit right in, so make sure that you do join us there. You'll love it. Such a great group. We're almost done here. And then we can go press, and then we can peel and see how amazing this looks. Sublimation is really probably second only to maybe Cricut. And I used to do stained glass, and that stained glass was my favorite hobby ever. But second to my current hobby, second only to Cricut, is Sublimation. It is a lot of fun. You'll love it. If you're not already involved in Sublimation, you really, really should. It's just a... And the cool thing about Sublimation is you can make like super professional finished products. Like this is something that you would normally just buy in a store. That's the quality of this, the end of this product. If you were to give this to somebody, they would have no idea you didn't purchase it. Okay, so again, I'm flattening out all of my edges. I'm making sure that this is nice and tight to the top. Okay, and taking these extra steps are what are going to make the difference when you pull off that tumbler, the paper, and you're like, oh, that looks so beautiful. This is what makes a difference. Now this. So I did, like I said, I overlapped it just a tad. So to make sure that that does not become an issue, I'm going to run my nail right along this, okay? I'm just really going to press down on that, and I'm going to get that perfect. So that it's nice and pressed down. And there's no line at all there. You will not be able to see anything at all. You will not be able to see a seam there. Okay. All right. So that is our cup all wrapped and ready to go. Okay. Now, next step. Before you go into the press, you need to put, I'm going to teach you about sandwiches. Okay. So your sandwich is your blank and then your print. And in this case, the next part of your sandwich is a sheet of butcher paper. Now, let me talk to you about butcher paper. So, butcher paper. You can buy rolls of butcher paper. You want unwaxed white butcher paper, okay? The butcher paper, the purpose of this butcher paper, the way sublimation works is the heat from the press will heat the ink up. The ink vaporizes and then it adheres to polyester fibers. Anything like these tumblers are polyester coated. Shirts would just be high polyester count. That is what sublimation, that's how sublimation works, is it adheres to the polyester fibers, okay? So when you get this into vapor form, there is then a portion of it that might not make it to the substrate, to the tumbler. And in that case, that becomes blowout, okay? So the taping, it stops much blowout, but it can still blow out. And blowout, that extra vapor, you don't want that to get onto your press, because if it gets onto your press, then it can transfer to future projects, okay? So that is the point of butcher paper. It is porous, and it will kind of take in the vapor, the blowout, and it just attaches to the paper if there is any, okay? So now let's talk about butcher paper. Butcher paper, like I said, you can get it on a roll, you can get it at Sam's Club or, wherever, Amazon. That's not what I like, especially for tumblers. This is PYD Life paper. It's very inexpensive, and it comes in sheets. And it comes in sheets that are the perfect size for tumblers, okay? This makes your job so much easier, and you save so much time. Plus, that thinner, not that thick butcher paper, that thinner paper makes for a better press, okay? So I'll link this in the video description. Highly recommend grabbing it. So for this, you want just kind of take it. Don't put it right on your seam, at least I don't. It just gives you a little bit extra protection off of both ends, just a little bit, okay? And then wrap it up. And again, in the middle first. Just three pieces for this, just to make sure it's on there good. And if you crinkle it up when you put it in the press, sometimes when you put it in the press, like the edge will crinkle up just a little bit. That 3 pieces of tape will protect it if that happens. So now let's go down to my press, and I will show you the time and temperature and where I put this in the press and exactly how we press, okay? Okay, so something that I want to point out first, you might be able to hear a fan going. Ventilation is important. I am venting to the outside. I have a fan with an exhaust going, and I'm just pulling the fumes outside. That's important, okay? But I want to show you something about this press, okay? So with this press, so first off, the press is important. This is, again, a PYD Life press. They are my go-to brand. I love them. Always high quality. And this is not expensive. I will link this exact press in the video description. It's on sale, like 44% off right now. Just a really, really good deal, okay? So the first thing you want to do when you are pressing tumblers, before you have pressed any tumblers, mine's already set to the right amount. I press on this almost every day. So the first thing you want to do, with it not plugged in, put your tumbler in there, okay? And then you're going to shut it. Okay, I'm not going to shut it all the way, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to shut it all the way. And then these, in the back, there's little, like, dials. You're going to make sure that you have a firm pressure. You don't want it crushing it, but you want firm pressure, okay? So before you start heating it, you want to make sure that your pressure is set correctly. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to turn it on. So give me just 1 second. I'll be right back with that. So this is now... You can see that it's counting up. I have this set to 356 degrees for 70 seconds, okay? After that 70 seconds, we will turn it and do another 70 seconds, okay? So if you're unfamiliar with how to set a press, this set button right here, click it once, and that'll bring you to your temperature. You can up and down your temperature. Click it again. This brings you to your seconds, up and down your seconds. And then again brings you to where you've set it at that amount, okay? So let's go ahead. I won't make you sit here while this counts up. So I'm going to turn this off for a second, the video off for a second, let this heat up, and then once it's heated up, I'll show you how to put the tumbler in. It's important that it's centered in the press. I'll show you how to put the tumbler in. And then we'll press it. Okay, so we are at 356. That didn't take long, just so you know, it took maybe a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. But I didn't want you to sit for that. So when you're putting this in, you want to make sure that you're putting it in with the open edge on the side that it's easiest for you to grab it out of. And then put it with where you taped this paper on, the blowout paper, with that on top, so that you know where it is when you go to turn it, so that you know where you started, okay? Slide it right in there, And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're putting it in the center of your press. So that's where it is. It's from right there to right there. It's in the center, and that way you're getting even pressure across it, okay? So in the center of my press, and then I'm going to close it. And you can see the pressure that I had to put on that to close it, right? The reason that I want you to see that is that I want you to see how firm my pressure is. It's not so firm that I'm going to break my press, but it's firm. It's on there firm, okay? So now let it go for the 70 seconds. I am going to keep you here through this just because it's easier than having to add 2 videos onto the edit. I'm going to go to edit it all together. But like I said, so in the video description, I'm going to link everything. I'm going to link, I'll link the group. I'll link Sumblimation for Beginners. Definitely join us. You're going to love it there. I'll link every product that I use here and where they're cheapest right now. I will link the video on how to convert an Epson printer if you're unfamiliar and you don't already have a printer. I mean, that's it. This really isn't a difficult process once you know how. And once you know how, you won't have waste anymore. Okay, so I'm going to open this and then I'm going to step away just for a second because there is an initial, I'm just going to step backwards because there is an initial, just a little bit of like vapor that comes out. Ooh. So a little bit, I'm going to step back just a second, just so that initial vapor that comes out, I'm not just sucking that in. Okay, that's that. And then I'm going to put on my glove. It's really important to have a good glove. These ones are quality and I got them cheap. And I'm going to take this out, but I am not just going to turn it. Some people do. That is not what I do. I take it all the way out, and then what I do is not only am I putting it so it's now seam side down, but I turn it completely around. So now that opening side is on the opposite side. That way, if there's any differential in the pressure at all, it's evening it all out. Again, I'm putting it right in the center of the press, okay? Tight pressure, and I'm closing it. Now we're gonna let it go for the second 70 seconds, okay? And then once that 70 seconds is up, we're going to take it out. We are not going to open it right away, okay? We're going to take it out, and then we're just going to let it sit. I'm going to put it on a silicone mat, whatever you cool your products off on. I use a silicone mat. I'll link that also. They're like $6, and they're great for tumblers. And I'm just going to let it sit on that, and I'm going to let it cool off for 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. And, you know, in a cool room. It's not in a hot room. It's up in my dining room. I'm just going to let it sit in the silicone mat, cool off, and then once it's totally cool, then we'll go ahead and we'll come back to the video and we'll unwrap it. By doing that, what you're doing is you're making sure that you're not getting ghosting from your print retouching a hot cup while you're peeling it. Okay, so that's important. I see people peel it hot all the time, and I'm like, that's so foolish. You're just going to give yourself ghosting. So. But I'm going to show you how to make perfect cups. So that's how. Okay, so this is all done. So I'm going to open this up. Oof, that doesn't normally do that. But because I'm trying to like reach over it, that's why that's jumping like that. Normally I would just be in front of it and I would just open it. But that's okay. So we're going to pull this out of here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to turn this right off. Okay. Always unplug your press. At least that's what I do, just for safety. There's no point in leaving it plugged in. Okay, and now we're ready. I'm going to bring this upstairs. We're going to leave it to sit on the silicone mat, and then I'll bring it back, and we will go ahead and we'll unwrap it, and we'll see our perfect tumbler. Okay, so here we are. We're nice and cool. Nothing left. So we're going to take this off of here. I should have started it prior to the video, but that's okay. Take that right off of there. This is going to be super, super, super pretty. Get this bottom off. Okay, let's get this done. Ooh, that's going to be pretty. Let's see how pretty that is. Oh, that's super, super pretty. Okay, there we go. So that is all there is to getting a perfect tumbler. How pretty is that? I just love it. So, so pretty. So that's it. If you have any questions at all, ask them in the video description. Make sure you join the group, and I will link everything that I used in the comment in the video below the video here. So that's it. Have a great day. Bye.